Hello, my fellow gaming tankers. And shockingly, I remembered to include all my setup for the 120mm gun tank T-57. Why did they have to do the title like that for this tank? Probably because there's also a T-57 in World War II mode, so copy and paste? I don't know. But this is the Regiment's exclusive Cold War Era 1 tank. The first Cold War tank, so of course I immediately snagged the first regiment that I could get into, and immediately started grinding out this tank for myself. And as the season is very close to an end, in fact, we only got one more week, so in case you are wondering if you should sweat it out in the last week or so here, or if, you know, your FOMO is raging, instead of giving you all the details, because some British guy probably has already done that, obviously, so I would rather just talk about how this tank feels. I will say this, though, with a 450 Alpha, that alone should make it worth considering. It is a 3-shot autoloader, which is, because of this, I would strongly recommend that there's more autoloaders. Yeah, you might want to consider track mechanic like my 2-skill commander has there. And the first match, which I will probably barely talk about in detail, is on Province. And why am I featuring it? Because na 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 fuck you, goodbye. Province is gone. Starting with the next season. Well, maybe next week. I don't remember. All I know, it's gone. It's out of Era 1 and out of the higher tiers in World War II because, damn, this is a small map. Like, seriously. Who thought this was a good... They took out Ardennes in, like, 5 minutes and yet left Province. I mean, they both have flaws, but they both should have been... It's neither here nor there now. Anyway, back to the tank. I think the one thing you should consider, especially if maybe you're new, and this really is only if you're new and you happen to be in a regiment, is this is a 60% silver boost, and I have the postseason 25% extra booster on, naturally, that you get for completing the season. I regularly saw over 100,000 silver with, on decent matches with 5,000 damage, 200,000 plus silver. This will make you silver. And if you have a bad match, and I had a few bad matches, they weren't losses. It was just my team dominated. Not too bad at 90,000. So if you want a well, I would say reliable silver earner, okay, maybe sweating it out's a good idea. However, you do have some things to consider, and that is, one, it's not overly accurate. More accurate than some. If you have the WZ-111, which is the Chinese premium tank for Era 1, which is claims to be a silver earner with like, but it is a horrible tank in so many ways. This is a far better tank for that. It is on the slower side, so you do kind of like when I say this feels like a World War II tank. That just means, especially like a World War II heavy, because especially like with the Churchills and things like that. What was nice about tanks like those is like they went slow enough, so when you had to stop and aim, the reticle retraction or aim in was relatively quick. On occasion, although this isn't the best for this tank, you could get away with firing on the move, because when you're only doing 10 kilometers per hour, the reticle bloom isn't that bad. But with this tank, it is a lot of, you want to get to a position as fast as you can, because if you don't, you might miss your opportunity. And when you do get there, there was a lot of, okay, I'm in position, enemies have been detected or spotted, I can see them, don't shoot. I definitely wanted the reticle to be, the target to be within the reticle completely before I shot. There is Cold War accuracy. It doesn't matter if it's .24 or .28. That reticle could be fully aimed in and be like the size of a pinprick. But those rounds, the RNG, even perfectly still, it will still, the game wants the rounds to go to the widest part of the reticle from when you've shot. So once it gets to target, it is definitely not going to go where you aim. So having 278 millimeters penetration can be very good, especially from the sides and rear. But snapshots are definitely not a guarantee. So there's a lot of playing this more like a sniper tank. Also, why I, like with some World War II heavies, you want to boost the vision and maybe get the concealment down. It's just so you have an easier time spotting for yourself, which can be hard because and the reason you're not hearing anything, because all these recordings are from my Twitch stream. So I did a lot of yapping. One advantage to the success of this tank during my stream was, and I pointed this out during the stream, was there was very few light tanks during this morning play session. No bots, but also maybe 1 or 2 FV vehicles. Or light tanks. FV 4005s will always be there. So, in the more weekend situations, when you have 3 to 5 light tanks YOLOing in, or having their own little wolf packs, tanks like this can struggle. Because it's a pain in the butt when you have one light tank circle of deathing you. When you have 3, 4 all doing it, and the problem with having a 3 shots is when you hit that 30-second reload, you need to have a teammate there that doesn't have to wait 30 seconds to reload. So that was another thing I tried to do with, like, not so much here, because I was brave and also timing things out and realizing there's only 4 on the other team, and unfortunately we go for capture. Please see my other video on why we shouldn't capture, but that's also being addressed in like the next update or next season. Again, that's very soon. Is if you were to team up with like an FV 4005, a SHAR 40, TVP 5051, or the other TVP, and you hit those 24-second, 30-second reloads at the same time, yeah, that's a long time to wait. So I started, when I stuck with my teams, I started looking for tanks with 105mm boom snouts or 90mm boom snouts that had a more consistent reload, because I could then simply a tactic I kind of started with was I would track a tank with my team and they maybe do damage. That second shot I would make sure to do damage. Let my team whittle away at that tank's health, and then I would try for my last round to get the kill. I regularly, I'm sober, I swear, would end up with 4 to 5 kills per match with this tactic. And it, depending on how you feel about kill stealing, it worked. It helped get me silver, and it helped my team win. So that is something to consider. Armor-wise, I wouldn't brawl, mostly because hull armor is not the best. Turret armor can be okay. But again, you will live and you will die by that reload. Whenever you approach a situation, you have to consider, when that last round goes out, what will I do? You have to, in a lot of situations, and this is where it's not so much beginner friendly. It's like when you approach a spot or a situation or an engagement, and you will be with your speed, you have to know, how am I going to enter this and how am I going to retreat? Because if you don't, thank God there isn't artillery, thank God there isn't ATGMs, because then you would be a target from the side and rear. So, if you're patient, again, live and die by that 30-second reload, You can succeed, but you also have to realize if you suddenly find yourself in a position of, I'm on a reload, and suddenly 3 enemy tanks coming around the corner, it's basically like, yep, I'm relatively confident I know what my fate will be. And that can be a detractor. If you like to have consistent DPM, if you like to be able to say, I'm going to keep shooting, I am going to go down shooting, then this might not be the tank for you, because at some point you're going to have to go, well, I guess I'm going to reposition myself here because I got nothing else to do. If you wanted to run the hull patch kit, I guess that's also something you could pop off when you're waiting on a reload. But this tank, will it come around again? That is the question with this regiment's tank, as this whole regiment system is still relatively new. I think it's not even a year old yet. Will it come out ever again? And or for a high gold price? Or silver? Or just be, hey, grind it out again. 30,000 regiment coins. Don't know. Couldn't tell you. And if you don't have the Thrungva, you could consider it. I would say you don't need it if we had a tech tree line that had a similar style of loading, i.e. for heavy tanks, not just the mediums. And maybe the Swedish tank line will come out. There's 3 Swedish premium tanks in Cold War mode, but we don't have a tank line, so the Kranvagen has been mentioned when the Thrungva, which is basically a reskin Kranvagen, was introduced. So we're all wondering, when is that going to be? Well, World of Tanks Mod and Armor, they like to release premium tanks not so much as a teaser, but so much as here's a tank. And the corresponding nation tech tree line, I don't know, someday, maybe. Not so much like within 6 months or in that year of releasing the premium thing, so. Excuse me. So, I know it's kind of absurd. It's like I own the tank, so I'm leasing the tank, if you will. I have the tank, so I can comfortably say, oh, you don't need it. Honestly, I would, if you think you're in a position where you can sweat it out, go for it. If not, then play the old reliable T-95E3. All right? And at least you'll have a little bit better, at least you'll be able to go faster, a little faster, and not be such a fat tank. I enjoy playing it. Again, it is a consistent silver maker, and that was something I was like, ooh, that can be handy. So if you are a free-to-play player only with absolutely zero interest in purchasing premium time or anything like that, get it now, sweat it out now, or just, T-95E3. And at least that, you don't have to wait 30 seconds after 3 shots. So, like and subscribe if you like a less technical review and more about feels, or if you just enjoyed the sound of my babbles. And comment down below, what do you think of the regiment reward system? Do you have this tank, and what do you think of it? Are you intending to sweat it out, or can you pass on it? I know FOMO can be hard, but at the same time, at this point, we are so close to a new season. And if you are not 100% free to play, if you do have at least 2,000 gold and or 6,000, depending on where the Cold War tank lands in the next season, as an Ultimate Season Pass or Base Season Pass, you could depending on how you want to, day one and or grind it out, have another premium free tank. Maybe not Arrow 1, but it'll be a premium. It will earn more silver than your base texture tank. So I could say, if you know what your situation is, don't hate life for the fact that you can't get a fake tank. All right, but if you have the time and the need, again, if you're a new player and you're in regiment, this could definitely help you with grinding out texture lines, because the silver, a consistent silver maker, is nice to have, especially as if you need a slower, moderately armored heavy tank, because sometimes fast tanks can be a bit overwhelming, and no one in their right mind would ever recommend the WZ-111 for making silver, because it has no armor, accuracy sucks, and penetration is low. So, yeah. Don't hate it if you can't get it, but if you think you can, go for it, and at the end of the day, you end up with a whole bunch of almost 300,000 silver. You might be able to at least snag some free camo vouchers, and that will definitely help you make silver if you don't have to spend silver on camo. So, comment down below what you think. Keep your tracks on the ground. I hope the RNG's in your favor, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.